Are you someone that loves audiobooks like me? Do you like to watch movies and television and be able to get like acting into your stories as well? If you have never listened to an audio drama before, especially if you are a millennial who takes place in a lot of nerdy culture in similar circles that I have my entire life, I have the audio drama for you. Now let me say, it seems like not a lot of people have listened to audio dramas, but I think they are one of the coolest mediums of telling a story that exists. I've enjoyed many audio dramas and I hope to continue to enjoy many more. And my love of stories and audio dramas connected me to Brady Flanagan, member of the BookTube community, who has taken it upon himself to create his own audio drama called Roguelife. The name Roguelife is a reference to the genre of video games known as roguelikes or rogues. And the idea with those types of video games is that when you die, instead of starting back over at a checkpoint or a save state, you tend to restart the entire game, and when you replay through the game, things have changed. Well, Roguelife, the audio drama, takes that to another level. The characters in Roguelife, when they die inside of the stories that they find themselves in, they wake up in another story in a completely different genre. But the characters themselves have no idea why this is happening, and they're struggling to try to survive through these different scenarios just to figure out what the frick is going on. I love a good mystery. And the way this audio drama plays out is that each episode, especially in the early to mid goings of the show, is a different genre love letter homage to different eras and types of television shows that we probably enjoyed growing up, and or video games too. With each of these episodes, we get to see some of the same characters going through different scenarios, playing different characters inside the episodes that they're in, and they get to play with lots of different eras of storytelling. There's noir detective, there's like TV Land, Hanna-Barbera style stuff. There's an episode about paranormal ghost hunters, but throughout the entire story, there's this overarching element of why are we here and what are we doing? And we get little traces of that placed throughout the episodes. Each episode is pretty short, around 20 minutes, and we get to play inside each of these worlds just long enough to get a good feel, a good nostalgia kick for these different pieces of our shared collective childhood. And we get to see fun pop culture references woven throughout the stories. And then, spoilers, when the characters die at the end of each episode, we get little tiny morsels of what may be going on actually. The writers of the show did an excellent job with just diving into them just long enough so that they don't overstay their welcome. And even the story as a whole, where it starts to feel like it's very formulaic, in which you dive in, get a bunch of cool jokes, dive out, it switches to telling like the bigger story in a way that it comes at just the right time, because it just got to the precipice of getting into a rut where you only really cared about the stuff at the end of the episode, and the jokes were enjoyable, but they weren't the main draw. And then the series flips to start being about like what's actually happening. And what's actually happening is really cool. It's really fun. There's good twists. And the way the tone shifts as we go through the story, it's really cool. And it affected me in ways that I totally wasn't expecting. By the end of the story, it wasn't just something funny and silly. It actually started to hit me in my heartstrings. And the sort of tropes and story angles that it goes for are some of my favorite, and it was executed extremely well. The series does end both satisfying and also with a cliffhanger that leaves me just wanting season 2 so badly. But the coolest thing about this series is how it tries to tackle so many things at once, and the creators knew exactly what they were working with. I guess the comparison I would make is like the Amazon Kindle device. It is an amazing, almost perfect device at doing what it was intended to do with the tools that it has. It's not very expensive, and it's an e-reader that does the e-reader thing just so well. It doesn't try to do things that it can't do, and that's how Roguelife feels. It doesn't have the highest paid voice acting cast that exists, but the way the story is written is that it sort of knows that it's aiming for this B-movie vibe for such a long period, and it writes to that strength. And the way that it pivots towards the different type of story it's actually trying to tell by the end, it also executes excellently. The truth of the matter is that we all sometimes like to be pandered to, and this show is pandered to people like me that enjoy video games, that enjoy old TV shows, that enjoy humor, but also we enjoy good fantasy/science fiction elements and plot twists. The reason why we see a lot of the same science fiction tropes pop up over and over again is because they're really cool, and then it comes down to, did it do the trope correctly or did it flop? And I think Roguelife was just excellently done. This was a fun romp through nostalgia, through relevant modern jokes that have to do with things that are pretty recent, while carving its own niche out in a way that makes this feel super original, super fresh. I don't think it bites off more than it can chew at any point. And like I said, I'm just super hyped for season 2. If you've never given audio drama dramas a shot, but this sounds interesting to you, you should go check it out. If you do happen to love audio dramas and you share a lot of the cultural touchstones that I did growing up, and the things that I mentioned sound cool to you, then I definitely recommend it to you. This is a great way to get a really unique spin on a story in bite-sized chunks where the whole thing doesn't actually take up all that much of your time, but you are taken on a journey. I'm really grateful that this series exists, and I hope that more people check it out. Let me know your favorite audio dramas in the comments down below. If you want to check this one out, I'm going to link to it in the description. And please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to hear me geek out about stories that I love more in the future. I hope to see you again. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Sleep, no one ever get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. If it don't show up, I might get fired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. Always looking out tired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. If I don't show up, I might get fired.